Welcome to the Natural History Cupboard. Come on in.
And welcome back to the Natural History Cupboard podcast, the place where the weird and wonderful parts of the natural world come together. I'm your host, Gareth, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Aaron. Aaron, say hi.
Howdy.
Howdy to you too. Well, we're doing another special this week because it is National Stick Insect Day. Hopefully when this comes out, if not, it should be just around it on November 1st. And joining us to celebrate that is Portia from Exmoor Zoo as one of their education officers. Portia,
Hello.
say hi.
Hello everyone. Hiya.
So what we're planning on doing is we're going to give you a trio of different stick insects. Some of them more liked by certain people than others, some of them less liked than certain people's of others. But well, Portia, tell us a little bit about yourself. Say hello to everyone, and you know, sort of what do you do? How
What do
have
we
you
do? What do we not do? Yeah, as you've said, my name's Portia, and I am an education officer at Exmoor Zoo, and I've been there for the last 12 years. I have a degree. Don't know if it's definitely helped me, but a little bit. But I kind of fell into the role by accident. I was at Plymouth University, and I met our senior education officer, and he was doing some work for their Festival of Nature. It sort of travels around, I think. And I was volunteering at the Plymouth Museum at the time, writing
Nice.
labels on spiders, rewriting their labels. And I said, "Oh, Exmoor Zoo, I'm up near you, and I graduate this year. Like, do you have any jobs? Like, you know, eager."
No way.
And he was like, "Well, I don't know about the keeping side, but we need volunteers on the education side." And I was like, it's not really what I was looking for. Turns out, yes, it was, because I love it. And I'm very glad that I spoke to him at that time, and I've been here ever since. So, yeah, love it.
Good. Really good. Well, shall we launch into things then, shall we?
Yeah, let's not stick around.
Oh,
Oh no, there's going to be so many
puns,
puns.
isn't there? Right.
It's the creature feature.
Okay, so we are into our creature features. So we are doing basically the same format that we've done with our Halloween and Christmas ones, but we are doing stick insects, which I am really happy about. As you know, I'm a big fan of stick insects. And Portia, you're going to tell us about one of the rarest stick insects to start us off with.
If not the
take it away.
rarest.
The rarest, yeah.
Depends who you talk to, I think. I think it is debated that it is the rarest. So yeah, I'm going to be talking about the Lord Howe Island stick insect, which some of your listeners might have heard of. Others might be like, stick insect, aren't they just all like sticks? But there is a great many, I think nearly 3,000 different species of stick insect. So the Lord Howe Island stick insect is actually the world's rarest. We're going to call it the world's rarest. We're going to give it that title
I think so.
for my sake. Yeah, I think so. It's also the world's longest flightless insect, which is it's a title. It's gonna, yeah, it can claim that. 15 centimeters, and it doesn't fly. How sad is that? I mean, if it was 15 centimeters and could fly, that'd be quite traumatic, I think, for some people. Now, what makes it so special? So it's actually thought to be extinct since 1920. We think it went extinct in 1920. Or so we thought, asterisks. Because it was actually, in fact, rediscovered in 2001, which is, you know, a long old time for it to have disappeared from science and actually have returned. So way back when, Lord Howe Island itself wasn't discovered by us Westerners until 1788. Okay, and it was some bloke, a lieutenant called Henry Ball. Now remember that name because that name is important. It does come up a little bit later. Now he found this island off the coast of Australia, east coast of Australia. It's not a big place, and there was no one living there. human-wise anyway. Lots of wildlife, lots of endemic wildlife, including the stick insects, lots of ground-dwelling birds, all that sort of stuff that you expect to find on a little remote island. He named it Lord Howe Island after an admiral who did some stuff elsewhere in the world, and I guess he was kind of important, so they thought, we'll name a tiny little island after him off the east coast of Australia, because why not? They didn't settle there though, so they just found it, thought, yeah, put that on a map, off we go elsewhere. So the first settlers actually came from New Zealand, and they settled there in about 1834-ish. No one's really 100% sure. It was just used as a sort of provision stop mostly, so people would sail there, pick up trade, and then go elsewhere. But the main thing that they were interested in was whaling, first of all. So that was a lot of people going past whaling, but thankfully, whaling has now declined quite a lot. But with the amount of people coming on and off this island, a lot of creatures actually did go extinct. A lot of them birds to start with. Okay, so the stick insects safe up until this point. It's fine. Stick insects doing okay. It wasn't until a ship crashed, wrecked itself along Lord Howe Island. And what travels on ships? Every ship. Do you know, Gareth?
Oh, elephants.
Definitely.
Or rats, one of the two.
Rats.
Elephant's
Yes.
a well-known pest species.
Right
Yeah.
in a ship.
Oh, yes, definitely. Yeah, so rats. Rats travel everywhere. They got onto the island off of this boat in 1918. And then by 1920, the Lord Howe Island stick insect was declared extinct. So just 2 years gone. Couldn't find any more of it. Gone forever, or so we thought. So bad ship, hit rock, rats disembarked, ate stick insects, no stick insects left. So it went quiet with them for a while. No one really gave it a second thought, until rock climbers started climbing Ball's Pyramid. Remember that guy?
I
Henry
think is the
Ball?
best name for any
Yeah.
small giant rock.
Yes.
Pyramid.
Yeah, so it's about 14 miles off the coast of Lord Howe Island, and they would scale this piece of rock. It's really hard to get to because it's basically on a shelf of rock, so you can't like just sail easily up to it. So rock climbers, I guess, quite enjoy the trickiness of it. I don't know. I've never decided to hang myself off a jagged rock, honestly, by choice. So yeah, they'll go up and down it, and occasionally they would find dead stick insects on this rock, which is a bit bizarre, but they would only ever find dead ones. And then in 2001, some researchers actually went to look for some live specimens because they thought, well, if these dead ones keep showing up, where are the live ones? They went all the way to the top, couldn't find any. And as they were descending, they found large poos underneath some tea tree bushes. They thought, let's come back at night. Let's come back at night and see what we see. And yeah, lo and behold, underneath all the leaf litter at night, stick insects started emerging. They only found 24, but they took two males and two females back to Australia, and yep, they were Lord Howe Island stick insects. So 14 miles off the coast of Lord Howe Island, they had found this species that was thought to be extinct for nearly 100 years. How they got there remains to be seen. Could have been that birds picked them up and flew and dropped them or something like that. But they've never found them in any great numbers there, and it's a really harsh environment compared to Lord Howe Island, which has plenty of vegetation. Whereas Ball's Pyramid, it's really, yeah, it's literally a sheer rock face, and every now and then there's a bit of shrubbery going on. So it's really horrible. It's constantly being bombarded by the sea and winds and all sorts. So for them to survive there, they've done pretty well.
Find them then.
Yeah. Yeah, incredibly so.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those right place, right time, sending the right people who knew what they were looking for, I suppose. A male and female, so four individuals went back to Australia. A male and a female went to a private owner, I think, in Sydney, but the other two went to Melbourne Zoo, and they attempted to breed them, and it took a while. Like it wasn't just a case of, oh yay, babies like you find with some species of stick insect that you keep in captivity, you can't stop them from breeding. But
Yeah.
these ones, it was quite, yeah, you get inundated with them. If you've ever kept them at home and they end up everywhere in your knicker drawer, everything. Flashbacks. But yeah, they managed to breed them eventually. Um, they have them in 6 facilities across the world, well, not just within Australia, but across the world. So that's the only zoos that have them. And yeah, it's all zoos. They're obviously trying to repopulate. So they've got over 20,000 estimated in captivity, thousands more eggs, in the hope that one day we can reintroduce them, which is looking pretty good actually in the near future because they set up, well, trying to get rid of the rats. Obviously, you need to get rid of the problem before you can start reintroducing them. They did introduce some to a sort of like a nursery onto Lord Howe when there were still rats. It's like I imagine it's like a big greenhouse kind of place where they grow native plants, and so they thought we'll have some stick insects there. Not even a soft release. They're not releasing them. They've just kept them in this area, but at least it's on Lord Howe, so it's
Yeah.
kind of close. And then yeah, they've started a project in 2019 to eradicate the rats. So they were airdropping bait. This island is inhabited now, remember, so there are people living here, but they're only using part of the island. The rest of it is kept quite wild. But yeah, they were dropping bait and then they were bait boxing. That was in 2019, and then in 2021 they thought, yep, we've done it. Can't find any more rats. They were about to sort of deem it a success, and then they found some in the inhabited part of the island.
Yeah.
Obviously, humans there, we are the cause of rats, basically, in urban areas. So they're always going to be there. But they managed to get rid of them. So they said, right, let's hold off. We're not going to call it a success yet. Let's make sure they are all off the island. Then yeah, in 2023, they decided, yep, there are no rodents. We cannot find anywhere, any evidence of any of them. So yeah, that was 2 years ago. So hopefully the reintroduction program is imminent, which would be great. They do need a little bit of I mean, I think the people on the island do need a little bit of convincing because another name for the Lord Howe Island stick insect is the tree lobster. It's not a pretty, it's not a flamboyant butterfly.
That, and they're
It
not
is.
exactly the sort of thing you could eat like a lobster. They're
No,
not
though
big.
they do have a use though. So
Hmm.
fishermen used to use them as fishing hooks because
Purpose.
they're a really robust species, and the males have these big, chunky thighs, like thunder thighs. They've got these big spurs. So they used to, yeah, rip the back legs off and use them as fishing hooks, or just use the whole stick insect as bait. So they used to be in such abundance that they could do that, and it wasn't depleting the population. It wasn't till rats got there, that it became a problem. But yeah, the Lord Howe Island stick insect. It's pretty cool. I like him.
Have you seen any of them,
I
Portia?
have. I saw them at
Yeah.
Bristol Zoo. We
Yeah.
got to go backstage and have a little look. They weren't doing anything. It's pretty unimpressive, to be fair. But to be the insect itself, but to be in the presence of a creature that is, you know, not only critically endangered. I mean, I work at a zoo, I see critically endangered species all the time that are dubbed critically endangered. But yeah, an animal that there's actually not very many of them. We know there's not very many of them. We can count exactly how many of them there are because
Yeah.
they're all known to zoos. So that was pretty impressive. But yeah, they're a really cool animal.
I've
Another
only
thing,
seen them from the public side.
Right,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Been as lucky as you.
They have to grow specific trees for them as well.
Mm.
Though apparently there have been people that have returned to Ball's Pyramid and they've seen them eating different plants now. So they think actually maybe they are a little bit more adaptable than we first thought when it comes to food plant. But yeah, tricky, not one that you're gonna find in the pet trade anytime soon.
Just give it a
I
matter
hope
of
not.
time.
Yeah, I hope not anyway.
Oh, if it worked for the Simondoa cockroach, just think of what
Good
it could
point.
do for them. You know. So yeah. Ah,
So you mentioned Melbourne Zoo was the place where they initially
First,
took the first pair,
Mhm.
and you guys have both mentioned Bristol Zoo. Do you
mhm.
know the other four zoos that had them?
Budapest, San Diego, Prague. What's the other one? Oh, Toronto. Yeah,
Toronto.
Wow, that's a real global distribution. That.
it
I've heard
is.
good
Yeah.
about Toronto. San Diego and Prague, I'm happy to hear they're there because they're both the reputations of both those places are quite
Mm.
good. I don't know anything
Prague was
about
the
Budapest.
most recent. I think Prague wasn't until about 2019. That was the most recent ones. And they have
Mhm.
them on display. Not all of them have them on display.
No. Yeah. Oh,
Very interesting. I like that.
they're a really cool species.
Mm.
I mean, like Portia said, really, really unassuming, and most people would probably just go and walk past. But to be that close to a critically endangered animal is really
Yeah.
cool.
Sorry, before you do,
Oh, hey, there you go.
did you want to see some that we can compare with the
Yeah.
Lord Howe?
These are not Lord Howe's. She's not broken into Bristol Zoo. Not like people wanting to see gorillas.
You weren't one of the ones with the balaclava on, were you? You are wearing a suspiciously black hat there.
I know I have to because my head is so small. No headset fits my head. So I have to, it adds layers to my head. So we mentioned the spurs on the back of the male Lord Howe's. So this species that I'm going to show you is it was thought to be quite closely related to Lord Howe, but they've done some sequencing and realized it's not. It's convergent evolutions. They look very similar because but they've evolved similar traits from, but not being related.
Same
Um,
environmental pressures.
yeah, exactly. So there you
Oh
go.
yeah, yeah.
There's
Look
his
at that.
back legs.
And you
Yeah.
don't want to get your fingers caught between those.
No,
Mm.
exactly. He's not
It
a happy
hurts.
boy. There it is. Don't know if you can see him. You're on camera.
So that's a Uracantha calcarata
Yes,
stick
or
insect.
giant spiny stick insect if you prefer.
Yeah,
But
from
yes,
New Guinea, if I remember correctly.
they
I've
are from
worked
New
with
Guinea,
those
so
as well.
same part of the world.
Mm.
So yeah, you can understand. But the Lord Howes look very similar to this, but they're black and more shiny, whereas these are quite brown and matte. So this is a female. There she is with a large
Nice
oval
big chunky
pointer.
female.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're pretty large.
Oh, and I think we should point it out as well as you're showing its abdomen there. One of the main questions that you've probably been asked as well, and one that I know I've been asked in the past. No, that's not a stinger.
It's
That's
an
an
ovipositor.
ovipositor.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
You
they
can
sort
see
of dig it
this.
into the ground.
Yeah.
She does. So she will deliberately dig a hole and lay an egg, whereas the Lord Howe will just drop them wherever they are.
I love the scattergun approach of most stick insects.
Yeah.
Egg there, egg there.
Well, in
If
it's
you
quite
survive good.
often within parthenogenetic species, which the Lord Howe Island is also. So it will mate, but it can be parthenogenetic as well. For anyone that doesn't know it, it's basically cloning. It's kind of like cloning. Um, they
Yeah.
can they can lay eggs that are unfertilized by males, and lots of insects can do that. Um, it's quite common in insects. Debatable if it can happen in reptiles, though. Some people think that it's been possible in Komodo dragons, but I don't think so.
It's one of those main reasons that I like stick insects because sometimes you can have an entire colony of just females and they're just self-sustaining. The
Yep,
clones keep coming.
they just keep going. The problem with it, though, is that I without looking in it too deeply, is that they wouldn't be able to evolve.
Yeah.
They can't. They haven't got new genetics. You need diversity,
Yeah.
spice of life, all that sort of stuff. That's also didn't mention why we actually want stick insects. Like, why do we look after them? Why don't we just let them go extinct? Obviously, biodiversity is really important, and we want to make sure we have a nice, diverse planet. And it's not nice to think that we caused the extinction of something. But in a lot of places, they're from tropical parts of the world, and they not only are food for things, but they also bring sort of sunlight to the rainforests. If you think herbivorous creatures up into the trees, nibbling bits of leaf, allowing sunlight through. Because, I mean, you've probably been to a rainforest, but I certainly haven't. But apparently, they're very dark places. They can be.
Extremely so, yeah.
Yeah, so like if you have a bit more sunlight, obviously it's shedding a little bit more, giving plants a lot more chance to photosynthesis and grow.
They're the Samwise Gamgee of the insect world.
Yeah,
But
gardening.
any kind of
Of course.
herbivorous insect, helping out that way. So the stick insects are just one kink in the chain, but if you lose all the stick insects, that's one big, cog that you're taking out. So yeah, it's important.
Yeah.
They may look unassuming, but they do play a role, and we do need to look after them. And it would be really cool if we had more in this country, but I'll let you guys talk about that.
When it comes to stick insects in this country, there are no native stick insects in this country whatsoever. And that's what I'm talking to you about. It's a very short one. There you go. That's it. There are no native stick insects. But you've hit on the nail on the head with two big things: parthenogenesis, which we'll get onto in a moment. But yeah, the fact that there are no stick insects in this country, we have different animals that do those sort of jobs, but we do have an awful lot of introduced species. So for my individual species, I'm cheated. I've gone for three. I've brought three for the price of one, because I figured it would be better to talk about three species of stick insect that are actually found here in the UK than just one of them, because all three are interesting. But Britain is home to a very large number of introduced species, plants and animal wise, released either intentionally or accidentally. Rats being, although they've been here for a very, very long time, but the same sort of thing, from accidental releases of shipwrecks and people just letting them loose, thinking that they're doing the right thing. According to recent data, there are around 3,343 non-native species, of which 2,074 are established. So that's quite a lot of animals roaming the UK that are not technically meant to be here. That means they're reproducing in the wild. Many sources estimate that that's over 2,000 plants and animals that have been introduced into Britain in that incredibly long time period, basically. The environmental and economic consequences of these can be considerable. On the environmental side, species can outcompete others and prey upon native species for habitats, spread disease as well, change ecosystem functions, and change the whole biodiversity of an area. On the economic side, the management and repair and control of non-native species, things like grey squirrels, for instance, they basically cost the UK economy in the ballpark of about £4 billion per year. And according to a recent estimate, it is basically up from what was the original estimate a couple of years ago, an earlier estimate of 1.8 to £2 billion a year. So it's doubled pretty much within a recent sort of decade. And have established themselves in populations here and don't seem to have caused any problems whatsoever. And we've only got 10 minutes left on the clock. Okay. We'll get as far into this as we can. So those three species of stick insect are the unarmed stick insect. Now, that doesn't mean it hasn't got any arms or legs. It just means it hasn't got any spikes on it. Acanthozola imminis, the prickly stick insect, Acanthozola gravicii, and my favorite of the three, the common or smooth, or otherwise known as the tea tree stick insect, Clitarchus hookeri, which I think has one of the most hilarious, rude scientific names. It doesn't mean anything close to what you're thinking.
Me and Drew had a good laugh about that.
I love it. It's on my rude bugs mug that's on there. So that's why I like it. So let's have a quick breakdown of each one of these species of stick insect, because there is a good chance if you live in, well, the southwest where we all live, there's a chance you could go and see them in the wild. You could go looking for stick insects. Wrong time of the year now, but come the spring, you could be out there looking for any of these three species if you live in certain parts of the UK. So the unarmed stick insect, Acanthozola inimis, it's a long, slender, twig-like stick insect, often bright green, but sometimes through to a brown or yellow. Females are the only ones that you'll see of this species. So there has only been females of this animal found. They grow up to 10 centimeters long. Their body is smooth rather than spiny. They have thin black lines, sometimes visible on their protothorax, and faint yellow lateral lines on their abdomen. The legs can be reddish, tinges near the body, a little bit like a lot of stick insects. It sort of changes color as it gets close. An overall delicate, elongated, classic-looking stick insect. You know, that very long, thin stick insect look.
Yeah.
Basically gives them convincing camouflage. Now, it's likely that these were introduced by plant and timber imports from New Zealand. All of them have come from New Zealand. In the early 20th century, and shortly after this, became established in some of the areas around ports and places where this stuff is offloaded and just sat there, you know, in a lumber yard, basically.
Yeah.
Because many of the Acanthozola family reproduce by parthenogenesis, that's basically females cloning themselves by producing viable eggs without a mate, a single transported female or egg can establish a brand new colony. And that's probably what happened here, is one or two eggs stowed away in a plant pot or something like that. Records and historical notes suggest that multiple accidental introductions via the horticultural trade are basically how this species became established.
Yeah, makes sense.
It was for a very, very long time the case that a lot of the places where these stick insects turned up, they were essentially a port where ships would offload everything that they had just got from New Zealand, basically plants for Victorian gardens and things like that. So they're being offloaded directly from a ship that's just come from New Zealand. They'll have been dug up with the soil and everything. So you're basically taking the host plant for the animal and the soil that there may be eggs in, shipping it across the world, and then surprise, we've got a bunch of stick insects. So range for this in the UK and where you're most likely to see one. So it's the most widespread of the three. Its strongholds are in the mild maritime southwest. So we're actually at the extreme range here on Exmoor. So places like Devon and Cornwall, mostly southwestern Devon into Cornwall, and surrounding sort of coastal areas where it's always going to be a little bit warmer are better than inland areas.
So like Heartland and Clovelly kind of area going down towards Bude.
Yeah. The further west you go, the better chances you're going to get, and the further south you go, the better your chances are as well. So Paignton is a good place to look for them as well.
Right.
But records have expanded locally around nurseries and garden sites for obvious reasons. There's plants there for them to eat that are specific, plants that may help them out. So sightings are most frequent in late spring through to summer when the adults are active on the shrubs and garden plants. The best time to see them is look at night with a torch, because just like with the Lord Howe stick insects, they were spotted at night because they're far more active on things like bramble, firethorn, or eucalyptus in sheltered gardens and nursery grounds. It's one thing Britain is not short on is bramble. And if anyone has ever kept a stick insect, you'll know the fun of having to go and find some bramble and get your hands all nice and stabbed up.
Bramble thorns in my thumbs as we speak.
Nice, always good. So survival tricks that these guys have for living in the UK, basically they're parthenogenic. However, this is a species that has actually thrown up a bit of an interesting quirk. This species has only ever been found as female, apart from one occasion where one male was found right here in the UK. Now, these have been studied for a very long time in their homeland in New Zealand, but one of these guys was found right here in the UK to be male, and it was found on someone's car. The guy who found it basically said, this isn't a female, this is a male, and put it together with a female in the hopes to try and get them to mate. It died shortly afterwards. I think this was late on in the season. Luckily, he realized the importance of this and put it in formaldehyde and sent it to be identified. I believe it went back to New Zealand to basically be identified by a university researcher there. where they looked at it and realized, this is very different. Although it wasn't a male that had reappeared, it was essentially a mutant. So in these stick insects, they have a 3X chromosome. And so you can end up with a female through whatever genetic damage or something, losing one of those chromosomes and having an XX chromosome. So you end up with it presenting as male.
Right, okay.
So essentially, it wasn't functionally capable of reproducing, but it was showing up as if it was a male. So it was a genetically damaged female.
Yeah.
A mutant, if you will. No more mutants.
No more mutants. That's a throwback.
There you go. So essentially, that's where that came from, and it was for quite a while. Portia, you probably heard about it as well. I'm guessing it was quite a stir. This stick insect, essentially being the only one of its kind, but appearing on the opposite side of the planet to where they're native to. So so that's one of the main reasons they're able to survive, is they can reproduce parthenogenically. They can basically just pop out eggs. The eggs will sit in the ground whilst the population dies off through our rather harsh winters. They've got a flexible diet. Now, in the UK, they're obviously eating things like bramble and firethorn and eucalyptus and other ornamental plants. In the wild in New Zealand, they're eating things like Hutakawa trees, tea tree, various other sort of manuka as well, that manuka honey comes from, which is a type of tea tree anyway. So there are lots of plants that are fill-in ones here that stick insect keepers, in other parts of the world, will find plants that they are capable of eating.
Yeah.
And sheltered microclimates. The southwest of Britain has got lots of little sheltered microclimates, which I think all three of us will be aware of the fact that you can be in one part of North Devon and the weather is totally different 10 miles up the road.
Yeah.
We have incredibly odd little microclimates that will help protect insects like that and keep them hidden away. So the prickly stick insect, Acanthozola gravicii. This is the more outlandish one of the three. It's similar in body shape to your classic stick insect look, but it's notable in that it has small black, what are called tubercles or spines all over its body, giving it a bit more of a prickly look. Color varies from green to brown, and adults are roughly 90 millimeters long, so about 9 centimeters. Their spiny texture gives it a coarse, sort of bark-like appearance rather than the smooth twig-like look. So it's a bit more akin to the Eurycanthas in sort of their roughness, but think green stick insect, black spikes down its body. Quite nice looking. How they got here? Well, the same sort of way. It's basically accidental imports with plants and parthenogenic as well. All three of the stick insects that we're looking at for the UK are parthenogenic. It's a unisexual population and basically helps new colonies establish themselves from that really small group. Pretty much exactly the same as the previous, although there has not been a male of this one found. The earliest records date back to the early 20th century for them, specifically concentrated in Devon around Torbay and in Cornwall, and also down into the Isles of Scilly. Tis a silly place. And that's where they actually started out. First documented around Paignton Gardens in 1909 and Tresco Abbey Gardens on the Isles of Scilly in 1943. Most likely encountered them in sheltered coastal gardens. And that seems to be where most people encounter these ones, is in gardens in and around Paignton. So especially broadleaf shrubs and bramble seem to be their preferred food plants, and late spring through to summer into early autumn and nighttime yet again is the best time to go and look for them. Their spines and rough texture help them camouflage on woody stems and bark, but the fact that they're green does make them stand out a little bit.
Right.
Their habits are usually to be found in like sheltered gardens. So winter time, you are not going to tend to find them because most of the population will have died off, and they're going to be feeding on a variety of different shrubs. The good thing I would say about the Southwest is we're basically like parts of New Zealand.
I was going to say, it's very similar.
Yeah, and it's also why you will find a lot of plants from New Zealand and from southeastern Australia growing in the Southwest. They grow incredibly well here. You only have to think about how many gardens you see with Tasmanian tree ferns or flax, New Zealand flax plants. There is also a species of plant that you'll pretty much see along the coastline here with orange flowers or orange to red flowers. That's an invasive species from New Zealand that has just basically been released from gardens here and has taken over. So proximity, habitat wise, it's somewhat similar to where they come from. So they are used to this sort of thing. Now, the third out of the three, my favorite and the one out of all of these that I've actually kept is the Clitarchus hookeri. I bred 2 generations before I had a bit of a colony collapse, which was a bit of a shame, actually, because I would still quite happily have these ones any day of the week. I really like them. They're relatively large, robust stick insect, but still, long, thin, sticky stick. So females are notably bigger, commonly around 81 to 106 millimeters, and the males 67 to 74 in their native range. Males have not been recorded in UK colonies to date, but they can reproduce sexually and asexually. The color is variable, bright green through to brown, gray, or sort of a buff color, and individuals in the same location tend to show or can show different colors. So it's not a reaction to where they live, basically.
Right.
It's just a sort of roll the dice, see what your character creator comes up with. The overall surface of them is typically smoother than the prickly stick insect, hence the smooth stick insect name. But they're also known as, let's say, the tea tree stick insect or the manuka stick insect in some places in New Zealand. I like the tea tree stick insect as a name for it because, well, that's what they eat in the wild. This species arrived unintentionally via plant imports. Yet again, I've tried to say the same thing 3 times, basically, but we brought them here by accidental introduction via pot plants from New Zealand. The same sort of records indicate that they were early introduced into the Isles of Scilly, from where they persisted in sheltered island gardens, and parthenogenically, they basically were able to colonize and naturalize themselves into the UK. And while they can reproduce sexually, reproducing in New Zealand sexually, UK populations, like I say, are entirely female dominated or unisexual. I actually had, I'm fairly certain I had a male and a female. In fact, yes, I did, because I remember seeing them mate. I had a pair. So, and those were not ones that were collected from the wild. They were from an insect dealer. So,
Right. Okay.
they are, which is the interesting thing is if they are there, you'd imagine that someone might have thrown a male out. But then again, it's a way of surviving without having to find a mate is obviously reproducing parthenogenically. So
And
you
like sticks, it's quite tricky.
well, yes.
Find each other.
Well, you see them just hitting on plants, and if they're short-sighted, they're never going to know if why that one's not talking to them. Sightings are seasonal, yet again. I mean, even though the islands are the most southwesterly point you can go in Britain, although they're technically their own island, they are a British territory, they're still going to get hit by some of those extreme weather that we come in, hitting us during the winter months. But they're still in quite small sheltered spots, especially floral borders, sort of hedgerows and things like that. And their survival tricks, well, they basically are localized to the local microclimates of the Isles of Scilly, and they don't have to cope with a lot of strong frosts because of the amount of salt in the air.
Of course, yeah.
And their variable colors basically help individuals blend into different plants, increasing survivability. And being common in dense vegetation and gardens, let them exploit food plants and protection from the worst weather. So they are the new insects found in Britain. And as far as we know, because of climate change, there is a very slow progression of some of these insects further and further up the country. They don't seem to be causing any issues with other environments and outcompeting other species. So I think we can actually be all right with them as an introduced species because they're just sort of here and just sort of fitting in and doing their best to be a stick, really. So I would highly encourage anyone, if you live anywhere in those parts of the UK, to go and look for them. it's something that I keep meaning to do, is to get out and about and have a look in the summer months, but I so far have not done that yet.
That would be a really cool little podcast outing.
Well, what, go and
Stick
go and
insect.
hang around in a local park filming bushes?
Not hang
It
around,
doesn't
dark.
look suspicious at all. Yeah,
stick around.
a stick. Well, yeah. Let's stick around for
Get
your
into
species, shall we?
Some sticky situations.
Yeah, I imagine it might become a little bit sticky. Although I will say that I have seen this species in its native habitat.
Yeah, in Middle Earth.
Yes, in Middle Earth,
Mm.
just outside of Wellington. It was also where I saw my first wild weta as well,
Oh,
the
yeah.
Wellington tree weta.
Didn't help you breed them though, did it?
Oh, just every time, just dig the knife in, why don't you?
Portia,
Well-
just in case you didn't know,
Oh no, Portia's aware.
Gareth can't breed witters.
Well, I
Look,
mean, I've never tried, so I can't
there you
comment.
go. See, yeah, exactly. At least I tried. I get to at least say I've tried, but yes, I can definitely say that trying to look for these guys of a night
Hmm.
is the best trick, because of a day you've got almost no chance of spotting some of them, but of a night you can wander around with a torch and you'll be surprised in the middle of summer how many different insects are out and about, really obvious places, you
Hmm.
know. So yeah, well, let's move from one of my favorite insects to probably one of your least favorite insects. Let's bring it home with what you've got, Aaron.
Well, my experience with this actual species of stick insect is very much the opposite of you with witters. Because to celebrate stick insect awareness, I'll be covering my least favorite and yet most successful colony of stick insects. that I
Fair
have
enough.
worked with.
Yeah.
I'm talking, of course, about the arrogant of the insect world, the spiky little head known as the Maclay's spectre. So right off the bat, pray tell, why do I dislike these guys so much? But the truth is, I don't. They're actually really cool. The problem I have with them is that they bred so rapidly, too bloody readily. Basically, it became a twice daily job to pick the little newborn reprobates out of their enclosure because the main tank was quickly overpopulated. Then those off-view nurseries, those nursery tanks became full, and they became a twice daily collection of other for other tanks. And no one else we asked, including this guy here, wanted to take them from me.
I wanted to. It just at that particular point could not do a 6-hour trip up to come and collect some stick insects.
I at this
I
point,
wanted
I
some.
would have made the 6-hour trek to get rid of them.
I'm fairly certain I told you, give me some. So I would have gladly taken them because I believe my group of them had long since passed away.
Tanks upon tanks upon tanks of Maclay spectres over the radio. Aaron, where are you? And I'm on the floor shuddering with all these stick insects over me, which I actually adored these originally. They really turned me against them themselves. But this is to completely all those daily the twice daily protocol of emptying tanks completely washes over the ritual of replacing the food items that these populations would burn through on a daily basis, and having to make sure none of that fawny nonsense was harboring any stowaway babies. So what started as I say, a joyful early success in my new role with inverts quickly became a source of extreme irritation as I pricked my fingers on every piece of bramble whilst painstakingly ensuring I didn't harm these delicate little twig impersonators. But despite my somewhat fake disdain for them, I did appreciate them. They're an incredibly cool looking stick insect, measuring up to 20 centimeters, so about 8 inches long, when full grown, and having quite robust bodies for a sticky when mature. Females are covered in spikes that resemble the thorns of bramble to an extent, and in addition, these females also have wings, whilst not being quite vestigial, are certainly useless to say the least.
They're there for decoration.
They're there for decoration, yeah. The males are much smaller, as is the case for many stick insect species, actually. And typically, you're talking about individuals barely pushing past half the size of the females, so roughly around 10 centimeters or thereabouts. And the lads also have spikes, mostly around the face. Speaking of which, you'll find 3 eyes there. Now, they're not eyes in the same sense that we have. They're not compound eyes. They're called ocelli, and they're basically lacking retinas. These could be called simple, but I don't think that term really fits them in reality. I don't think ocelli are actually simple. They're just not. They're not as complex as ours. Anyway, the males are flyers and have long wings, as mine were very keen to demonstrate on more than a few occasions when trying to empty the babies out of their tanks. Now, this body shape, at least in the adults, is coupled with a tan-brown coloration for the point of camouflage, something that all stick insects are actually really great at. On a scale of elephant in an antique store to the predator fighting Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'd give this species a solid rating close to Gaboon Viper. Their camouflage is really good. And that should be a new rating kind of
that's an
thing
interesting rating. So
for camouflage. But yeah, the species will basically hang from perches in a curled position, and I'll talk about that again shortly because it's really interesting. It makes them appear basically as sticks or dead leaves. They'll supplement this behavior with a secondary disguise behavior, which has them gently swaying side to side at a rate that matches the nearby foliage in the breeze. But when you're doing it, when you're sticking your face in the tank and just lightly blowing them, and they do it, and it's kind of funny to watch. It's a bit like a dance, but yeah. Very cool. The nymphs, on the other hand, pretend to be ants. And this has dual functions. Firstly, they hatch in Leptomyrmex ant nests. So the mimicry of the body shape and colour actually conceals them safely amongst their hosts. Secondly, this mimicry also makes them appear to be toxic, so it avoids them being consumed. But this is not where the mimicry of other insect species ends for the Maclay spectre, because one of my favourite aspects of these little bastards is their penchant for pretending to be scorpions. Both sexes do it, but the females perform better. And when they're threatened, they'll curl their abdomen over themselves like a scorpion tail. And if the threat proceeds to touch their body, they can pincer their legs with enough force, and by using those spikes on their thighs, they can actually cause some damage. They can even pierce our skin, which is quite interesting.
They're not as bad as the Eurycanthers, but they do hurt.
Was vicious. That hook on that, I can see why they use them as fish hooks.
I will say that one year for a April Fool's situation, doing a talk using a nice big female Maclay spectre, I did bring it out in a tub labeled Peruvian tree scorpion.
Oh yeah.
And proceeded to go, okay, who wants to touch an incredibly dangerous animal and put this on people's hands and go, now please don't move fast because it will hurt you. And, the usual thing of people freaking out and going, actually, you're fine.
It's the stick insect.
Yeah, so this is let's look at the dates that we're on. Oh, it's April Fool's. Okay, right.
To be fair, I've caught you with a pretty nasty April Fool's joke in the past. So, during COVID,
did it involve stick insects?
No. No, let's go into it. So we're at the zoo, and we're recording those little videos at the time for the zoo to keep people interested in the zoo. Right?
I remember that. Yeah.
And this guy and one of the other park workers were filming one of these videos just around the corner, and I thought this is a great idea. So I chopped a carrot, put it inside a glove, and chopped the finger of the glove off. Then put the rest of my hand, like with the index finger tucked away inside the glove. Poured loads of tomato ketchup on it, and then slammed the car door. Screamed as loud as I could, and flopped on the floor. And this guy and the other chap came running around the corner. The panic on their faces, they thought that I'd chopped my finger off in the door.
You know what? Never again are we going to show any concern or give first aid.
April Fool's jokes are great, especially during COVID when everyone's.
I was going to say we weren't going to come anywhere near you.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, the males of the Maclay spectre, getting back to the purpose of this creature feature, they'll also flash their wings open in an attempt to startle predators or make them appear larger than they actually are, or to threaten their keeper with flying out of the enclosure whilst they nick the babies. Unfortunately, they also give off a toffee smell, which I imagine is more inviting than scary. In fact, Portia, you said that you thought they smelled like marzipan. So
yeah, it reminds me of marzipan, but some people say like vanilla. It's just sweet smelling. It's not a nasty smell, but apparently it does smell nasty to they're predators, but to us it smells
I
sweet.
think I've ever smelled them.
Yeah, it is like a sugary smell, a sweet
All
smell.
the years I worked with them, I can't. I mean, my sense of smell's terrible, but
Yeah.
the one that
It's a
I do,
defense, so they
yeah,
don't just smell it. So yeah, if you annoy one enough, then it will
they
stick.
clearly didn't like you. Yeah,
Okay.
All the
Um,
smell.
yeah, yes.
yeah. Another really cool aspect of this species is that the females can keep to themselves. They're cloners,
Hmm.
damn good ones. whilst
Right,
they
Dexter.
can obviously breed with males, as is the case with pretty much all the species we've spoken about today,
Apart from two of mine.
apart from two of yours. Okay. Um, when males are present, they can breed with them, but should the local population be entirely made up of females, they can breed through parthenogenesis, an asexual reproductive strategy through which an embryo can develop without its egg being fertilized. So, fertilized eggs can take up to 120 days, give or take, to hatch and can produce male and female nymphs, whilst unfertilized eggs will take much longer, potentially up to 9 months,
Hmm.
and these specimens will only hatch female clones.
That's why I only ever had female populations.
In either case, once laid, the eggs are used as baseballs, being battered by the swing of the female's abdomen and landing scattered about on the forest floor, many feet away from where they originated. From here, the waxy covering of the eggs actually attracts the leptomyrmex ants, who then carry these eggs into the nest to chew the fat, so to speak, ditching the intact and unharmed egg into their compost piles, where they'll hatch in relative safety.
Mm.
It's a really, really cool kind of nymph survival or egg survival trait.
The eggs even look like a grass seed, like
Yeah.
the specific ones that specific species of ant most of the time tend to eat.
That's right, yeah. So during a female's first time egg laying, you'll find that 12 units are ready in any one clutch, with nearly 1,000 more well on the way throughout her lifetime. An expanse of time that will likely span a mere 18 months. And that is the Maclay's spectre, stick insect.
Just in case you were unaware there, Portia, there were a variety of Star Wars references mixed in with that. That doesn't
I
that's
caught a
not just
couple of
unique
them.
to this. It's not just unique to this creature, usually. But yeah, they're possibly one of my they're up there with my sort of pantheon of favorite stick insects, I'd
Yeah,
say.
I do like them, really. Yeah.
They're
And you
impressive to
failed
look at.
yeah,
Mm.
you failed to mention the biggest con that you tend to see on the internet is the lichen form.
The lichen.
Oh, which
I
you
don't believe I came across this, actually, to be honest.
so what you tend to see every now and again, especially if you go looking for insects on less reputable insect, shops and things, they'll be selling you the lichen form of these, which does look incredibly pretty. Imagine that the Maclay spectre stick insect, but patterned like lichen. This is essentially where if you raise the nymphs on lichen or around lichen and have to be completely immersed pretty much entirely by lichen, they tend to take on a lichen-like color and patterning to
Okay.
them. But if the moment you start feeding them anything other than that, and I believe even after a short period of time, they just sort of stop producing it. But you won't produce, if you were to breed from that one, I don't believe you'll produce a lichen color one
No,
from a lichen color one.
this is more like when you feed certain foodstuffs to things like in captivity to keep flamingos pink.
Kind of, yeah.
Because they get their pink pigment from what they eat in the wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you see people selling them for like twice the price of a normal Maclay spectre,
Right.
and then
the
people
food
just
is
buy
twice
them,
as
and then all of a
expensive.
sudden you get these nymphs home, you feed them a normal stick insect diet because you don't know any better, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden, oh, you just got a normal Maclay spectre. So it's I'd say it's probably one of the bigger cons in the insect world.
Yeah.
You tend to see it quite often at insect shows and things like that, but
Right.
they are
And
really pretty.
no one pulls them up on it.
Oh, some people, yeah, a lot of people will, but
Mm.
it's more a case of if you tend to either know what to do or avoid it, just because you
Fair.
can. But yeah, I think they're an amazing group of animals, and Well, should we head into our emails? Because we do have a question to answer.
Oh,
So let's head into them now.
Bing! You've got mail. Ooh, it's an email.
Right. Well, we are into our emails, and we're going to start things off with last week's question, which was, "What is your favourite African dinosaur?" That was
and why is it Carcharodontosaurus?
wow. Well, as you are our guest this week, Portia, do you want to take a swing at your favourite African dinosaur? We discussed it briefly, but
No, I cannot. Even after a quick search, I cannot. I cannot comment on
Okay.
dinosaurs. I cannot. Over to you guys.
yeah, that's fair enough.
Honesty is the best policy on this podcast.
So, well, do you want to read the first one, and I'll do the second one because we only had 2 responses this week.
Okay, what order have you got in?
There's
okay,
2
right,
responses.
okay. Yeah, fair enough. I can take my pick. Well, I'm going to go with this one from Spencer Seams, who says Mukele Mbembe or the Groot slang, to which I think Drew responded saying, "Beware the wonder holes."
Yes. Well, just for context there, neither of those are dinosaurs or real.
No, Mukele Mbembe is like a cryptozoological
Yeah.
sauropod based on very Victorian
Views of dinosaurs. And the Groot slang, if I remember correctly, is an elephant-headed giant snake that lives in giant holes in the ground.
called wonder holes.
Yeah, called wonder holes. So, in fact, if you want to learn more about that, you could go back and listen to the very, very old now cryptid special we did way back when, you know.
Yeah, or better idea, you could not, because the audio is atrocious.
Yeah. But I think we should rehash that one. I think
we should redo that one.
And my other half has put Spicomelis afa, which is found in Moroccan Africa, and Nigerosaurus, found in Niger's Elzahar formation. Both very odd, but amazing. 2 really cool dinosaurs, actually. Nigerosaurus being the sort of Hoover dinosaur of the early Cretaceous, and Spicomelis, which we've talked about a few times now, the absolute, completely and utterly armored to the teeth ankylosaur, and the only ankylosaur from Africa.
Yeah.
So, yeah, very cool. Well, this week's question, I mean, I think we should obviously do this, is what is your favorite species of stick insect? So, Portia, would you care to mention your favorite species? If you have one?
Maybe, I mean, my favorite that I've kept because it was really pretty was the Myranoides, which they came in green. I had a green one, a red one, and a blue one. And they're only small, but they're absolutely gorgeous. They're really brightly coloured. They're very pretty, and they just fed on brambles. They were super easy. But I do really like the Macleays. You said.
I think your opinion is an unpopular one on Macleays.
Yeah, they are. I'm sorry you've had a bad experience.
It is a good bad experience.
So what's your favourite stick insect then?
I think by far giant thorny stick insect.
Yeah, so the Eurycanthus then. Yeah.
The one that I genuinely don't like that much, like Macleays I just joke about. I do actually, I'm quite fond of them. But the one that I really don't like, or no, that's not fair. The one that I really don't like working with is the walking stick insect.
I mean that could be a name that's used for about 50 of them.
Well, fair enough. I'm not very.
So the Indian stick insect, or
I don't know. To be quite honest, I don't know. I knew them as walking stick insects, and they were very thin. They were much like that chap there, but much smaller, much thinner, and much more irritating because I mean he's not doing anything to bother anyone up there, is he?
I mean he's trapped behind
because
glass.
He's dead.
He is most likely a she, I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Looks like it at least. Fair enough.
The blue one.
Oh, the blue nematodes or Ramulus nematodes, which they're nice.
I remember it was blue.
Yeah, they're nice, but they're really, really thin and really, really delicate little things. Those.
Yeah.
Well, luckily I never got to work with them because otherwise I'd lump them in with walking stick insects.
I think you mean the Vietnamese ones.
Yeah,
The Vietnamese. They're bigger than the Indians.
I'll probably like them more than.
fair enough.
Yeah, giant thorny stick insect for me.
I'm going to throw in the first species of stick insect I ever kept, and one that got me hooked on them. And I blame my dad for bringing them home from a random person who worked in the RAF and went, he had a load of these. Here, have some as a pet. My first pet as well. It's the pink wing stick insect, which
yeah.
really unassuming
Oh God,
green
no,
thin insect. No,
no.
see, I'm
We've
not
got them, and I think we have a similar experience with the pink wings that you had with the um Maclays, Aaron. They're
nowhere
just
near as spiky though.
no, but they do just come at you. Ugh!
Oh, well, that was actually where I was going with this. Is I absolutely love the fact that they could fly. My brother at the time had never seen this happen, and it's probably the reason he doesn't like working with, or doesn't work with animals and works with planes instead. One of them flew and landed on his face, of which he screamed and ran out the room.
That makes sense, though, because an insect flying and landing on your face is one thing. An airplane flying and landing on your face is a whole other deal.
That's true. That's true. I mean, that's why I don't work with planes. One of them landed on my face. So, anyway, you can let us know what your favorite stick insect is on our usual platforms. So, on Facebook or on the comments of the YouTube page for that. So, it's been fantastic having you here, Portia. We'll give you the chance that we always do with everyone else. Is there anything you want to plug, say hi, or just generally big yourself up at this point?
Yeah, I've really enjoyed being invited along, so thank you very much for
That's all
having
right.
me over. Yeah, come and see us at Exmoor Zoo. We're up in North Devon. The education team will talk to you for a long time, if you let us, about stick insects and cockroaches and snails and anything else, especially isopods. You should do one on isopods because we can talk
Ooh.
about isopods for a very, very long time. So yeah,
We were talking
definitely
about the film.
would love to
So-
come back.
Oh, yeah,
Stephen would
very much.
definitely like to talk about isopods with you.
Well, we have tried to have him on the podcast in
We
the
have
past,
invited him, both of us.
and he knows that as well. So he knows there's an open invitation. He's just never bothered to take it.
I will
So
poke
he
him.
can't complain. But yes, thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure, and it's I think the Lord Howe is a really good stick insect to definitely
Yeah,
talk about.
definitely.
Hmm.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So massive thank you to Portia there for coming along, telling us about the Lord Howe Island stick insect. Let's also say a massive thank you to our Patreons as well. Let's do that now.
Every week, we like to give a little love back by shouting out the names of our wonderful Patreon supporters.
That's right. These are the cupboard dwellers who are kind enough to support us through a monetary contribution, for which we are eternally grateful and grateful beyond words.
And those people are, of course, Fogtober, Jen Greenhall, Connie P, Chelsea McKee, Nick to Nick,
Owen Cox.
and Matt Geddy.
Guys, your financial contributions are actively helping us out here in the Natural History Cupboard in a myriad of ways, including developing our new studio, planning excursions and being able to go out and film on location, considering technical upgrades, and actually making the jump from a solely audio-based podcast to the now growing YouTube channel. And we really can't thank you enough for that.
Now, we appreciate all of our cupboard dwellers and the support you offer us through listening, liking, sharing, and subscribing. But if you feel we've earned it and you're considering joining our Patreon, there are two options through which you can do so.
That's the Nature Nerds and the Animal Ambassador tiers, which you can find on the Patreon website or links through our social media as well, and each one having different benefits for you to enjoy.
And now back to Gareth and Erin in the studio.
So a massive thank you to our patrons there. We couldn't do what we do without you. So, that pretty much brings us to the end of this week's episode. Our very first stick insect, National Stick Insect Day feature. In fact, I think we should try and do this every year with different stick insects. There's quite a few of them.
Yeah, there's about 10, isn't there?
I mean, there is at least 10 species of stick insect. So there you go. A massive thank you, Erin, for coming along with the species of stick insect that you thoroughly enjoy.
Yeah, no worries. I enjoyed that. That was good.
And a massive thank you to Portia as well for
Yeah.
coming along. And well, yeah, massive thank you to you for joining us. And we'll see you next time here in the Natural History Cupboard. Bye.
Bye. I almost forgot to say goodbye then.
Oh, God.
Speaking of which, it's my turn to do the bad joke of the week.
Okay.
So here it goes. My stick insect just got deputized by the sheriff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Now he's a branch of government.
Oh, my God.